Hey guys, what's up? Excoundrel here, and welcome to Update 3.7 Meta Picks. Now, I'm very sorry I missed Update 3.6. I was very busy. I'm currently in Poland commentating on the European Masters tournament for League of Legends, so I'm recording this from my laptop, which means it'll be a little bit lower audio quality than you're used to, but we can make it through, right guys? We can make it through. So, Update 3.6, I was away quite a lot and unfortunately never had the time to record a video. This time I'm just taking some time in my hotel room and going to get through this one so I can bring you guys what I think are the best picks in their current roles. Right, we're going to have a look at the mid lane first, as we always tend to start with. And mid lane has shifted a little bit, but not too much. We're going to start off with Anchor. Anchor is still really good on this current update. They made it so that it automatically basic attacks when you jump in with your A unless you cancel it, which means you have a lot more burst damage and it feels a little bit more smooth to play her. So overall, I envision Anchor is going to be in a good space right now. Sorry that the builds are usually on the right-hand side here, but unfortunately, I haven't got all the assets on my laptop. So you can see the highest win rate build down there, Shatterglass into Spellfire into Clockwork. I still think that's a very, very good build, and then you can add in a Broken Myth down the line. Varia. Now, Varia actually had a buff on the recent patch to her ultimate, making her very powerful in teamfights. The subsequent hits of her ultimate do more damage now, so if you get hit by multiple Varia ultimates, it's going to hurt a lot more. And I think that's done enough to make Varia a really good mid laner. She was on the fringe of being a good mid laner, but with some nerfs to the other popular mid laners like Celeste, I think Varia is in a really good spot, and I think you guys should definitely test her out. The highest win rate build down there is the one that I would use, so check that one out. Alright, moving on to Malene. Malene is in a good space right now. She always has been. And I think she'll continue to be a dominant mid laner just because of the way her kit works. She works really well with Aftershock. And the ability to have all those forms activated and lots of on-hit burst damage. Malene's going to be in the meta for some time to come unless they seriously tweak her numbers. But the fact that she's got so many abilities and so many ways to activate them means she's such a good Aftershock user, and I think that is a good build for her in general. You can see the highest win rate build there is Aftershock Shatterglass. You can build Shatterglass into Aftershock or Aftershock into Shatterglass. It doesn't matter, either works. And finally, Samuel. So Samuel is kind of getting nerfed after nerf after nerf, but they haven't really nerfed the part of the kit that makes Samuel good. His very early damage with Malice and Verdict is super good for harassing in lane. It wins a lot of early skirmishes and really helps you shove lane hard early on as well. Samuel is like a mid-game terror that scales up nicely because of Dragon's Eye. And even though they nerfed the healing on Update 3.7, I don't think that's done enough to deter Samuel from being a top-tier mid laner. Alright, we always have the off-meta pick. This is going to be an interesting one. I think Gwen. I'd like to see Gwen in the mid lane. I think she has a lot of burst damage. I think with the nerf to Serpent's Mask, you can go to a bit more burst-orientated Gwen with a Sorrow Blade. I think that kind of weapon power harass in the mid lane, a lot of mages aren't too good at dealing with early on. I genuinely think Gwen is like an off-meta mid lane pick, especially with the buff to her B, meaning that she can escape more easily in a shorter lane. I think Gwen could be a solid pick if you guys want to try something a bit different. Alright, moving on to the top lane. So top lane is in an interesting spot right now. It's supposed to be a 2v1 lane, or has been in recent metas, but the recent changes to the experience share and the gold share is kind of trying to push a 1v1 lane. Now, obviously, you're going to be facing the enemy bot lane, which generally tends to be weapon power carries. A lot of people have been sticking to the tanks in the top lane, from what I can see. It is always nice to have a tank in your team. So I think Arden still sits up there as a very, very good tank in the top lane. He's got good wave clear with his Vanguard. It's very hard to burst him down. It's not great to tower dive in Arden. He's got gap closing potential with Blood for Blood. And he's got great team utility as the game goes on. So I think Arden's still in a good spot. Remember, Stormcrown are pretty important if you're playing a tank in top lane and if you just want to clear waves. I think Lance, with a couple of buffs to the damage reduction that he gets, is a very good top laner. He's got okay wave clear with Impale, although he does have to commit pretty hard to do so. He has got good gank potential when the jungler comes in. You've got the Impale and the Githian Wall. The damage reduction from Githian Wall means that he can take a lot more punishment against a ranged carry in the top lane. And if you're a good Lance player as the game goes on, you're always going to be useful with those Impales. Grace is still great. She's still got great wave clear. Her ultimate is always going to be useful. You can build her a more supportive role, or you can still build her weapon power and hit like a truck. Grace is just a good all-round pick in the top lane because she does so many things and she's so versatile. So I think Grace especially, and also in a 1v1 scenario, she's got the damage reduction with her A and her ultimate. So if you're up against a ranged carry, you can always try and survive in those instances. And Reza, despite the nerfs, Reza is still got a great aftershock spike. The damage output that he puts out on ranged carries in the mid game is really strong. I think Reza is still a great top lane pick, even if he's constantly getting nerfed by SCMC because he is really strong. I still think Reza on update 3.7 is good enough to continue to play from the top lane. Can also try him jungle, but I just think in top lane you generally get the better gold income for him. So my off-meta pick for the top lane, update 3.7, guess, it's Ozo again. Yeah. I still think Weapon Power Ozo is great, even though the Serpent's Mask nerf, the Weapon Power nerf to the Serpent's Mask build hit him pretty hard, and I'm assuming his win rate's going to drop because of it. I really like Ozo. I think Weapon Power Ozo is really solid. I think he can close the gaps on those ranged carries. He's even better if he's in a 1v1 matchup with a ranged carry, especially if we're no longer having that 2v1 meta. Although I think it'll take a while for people to get out of that 2v1 meta, especially in high elo. I still don't think it's most optimal now because of the jungle experience changes. But overall, if Ozo gets put into a 1v1 matchup, I think he's great as a weapon power carry. Alright, let's have a look at the bot lane. Bot lane is one of those things that not much really shifts because there are just standard sort of AD carries in the bot lane that are really good. Kinetic being one of them. She got nerfed on the recent update. Her attack range got nerfed. So you're ultimately going to see her win rate drop. But I don't think it's enough to make Kinetic bad. I think Kinetic is still just solid. And I think that a good Kinetic player can still continue to use her mobility and her insane damage output. Because the only thing they touched was really the range on her. And although the range was a decent nerf, it wasn't enough for me to turn around and say, I think that's going to kill Kinetic. I still think Kinetic's going to be in a great position. The Serpent's Mask build probably still works, but I might consider going towards a Sorrowblade build now. Alright, Vox. Vox, despite the Serpent's Mask nerfs, I think he can default back to the Poison Shiv build if he wants to. Because if you think about how much weapon power changed between them, Serpent's Mask lost 15, I think, and Poison Shiv lost 10. So realistically, it might be better to default back to a Sorrowblade Poison Shiv build for Vox. He is still strong, always will be. Vox is forever meta. Alright, Kestrel. Kestrel got some buffs to her weapon power build path on the last update, and a lot of people complained that I haven't had her in before. I think Kestrel on this update is a really good weapon power carry. Her highest win rate builds are CP there, but Kestrel going down the Sorrowblade Breaking Point into double Tyrant's Monocle build or single Tornado Trigger Tyrant's Monocle build is really strong, and I think that I would be considering that if I was a Kestrel player. And finally, Skye. Skye was meta on the last update meta vid I did, and I think Skye's still in a good position. Her weapon power build is still really solid, and she still works with the Poison Shiv build too, so you can still go Poison Shiv, Breaking Point, Sorrowblade if you want to, but I don't think the Serpent's Mask build is bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just weaker than it was before. So I still think Skye in a really good spot on 3.7, and Weapon Power Skye continues to be a good weapon power carry from the bot lane. You might note that Kensei's not here this time round. I think Kensei's been nerfed enough to make him not a power pick, and I do think Kensei will be more balanced on this update. My off-meta pick, in inverted commas, is Baron. Baron got nerfed on the last update, and I think there are still certain circumstances where Baron works really well. I think Baron's really good against mages with the ability to dive into the backline with heavy burst damage. Just has to be played in a very certain style. You wouldn't really say that Baron is off meta, but I'm just putting him in there because I kind of wanted to include him. So if you guys are a good Baron players, then I do think Baron is a solid choice in the bot lane right now, even despite the nerfs. He was super strong on the previous update, but maybe not so much on this one. Alright, we're going to look at the jungle now. So the jungle is kind of an interesting position because I thoroughly believe that junglers should be heavy ganking junglers now. You should be able to clear the jungle by yourself, and sharing experience and gold is just not worth it anymore. So for that said, I think heavy ganking junglers are going to be very good right now. And despite Tony's nerfs in the recent updates, I think Tony is really solid still. I think he provides a lot to the team. He's got great CC, he's got great gank potential, and actually his damage is still pretty good if you go down a spell sword route and build a bit more damage into his kit. But you can still very easily go pulse weave utility, and I think both of those builds are perfectly fine. I think Grumpjaw is a great pick right now in the jungle. I think he works really well with Pulse Weave. I think he's got high damage output. His win rate has been slowly climbing over the last few updates, and the buffs to his living armor has made him a very tanky, or naturally tanky jungler. So I think Grumpjaw is in a great space as a jungler right now, and if you guys aren't playing him and you like Grumpjaw, you definitely should be. He also can go down the Aftershock route, remember, so he still has that burst damage available to him. Baptiste, I just think is really good. I just love Baptiste. He never really benefited from the Serpent's Mask build, has always been good with the Poison Shiv Breaking Point build. Even though Poison Shiv got slightly nerfed, I think Poison Shiv Breaking Point into full defense, you have a lot for your team, you can scale up in team fights, you have good gank potential with your Ordained, your ultimate is invaluable when it comes to those skirmishes and team fights. I just think Baptiste is awesome at this point in time, and he's like my only jungler I ever play if I get the opportunity. Although I do sometimes play Glaive, who is my other choice. I think Glaive, great gank potential, has good roaming, can sort of get across the map really quickly, his clear speed is really good. Glaive is a great jungler, and if we go to this sort of jungle where it's focused on ganking and not in a 2v1 place, I think Glaive is, for me, a really good choice. Although, I never noticed how much Glaive skipped leg day. Look how much Glaive skipped leg day. Christ, Glaive, come on. Right, my off-meta jungler, and this is not troll, this is a real pick, is Flicker. Yes, Flicker with Pulse Weave has single-handedly become useful. I Love Joseph played it in the VPL, even though he's now retired to focus on school. And I think Flicker with Pulse Weave has single-handedly made this hero a decent pick. I genuinely think Flicker with Pulse Weave is a good pick, and you guys should definitely consider playing Flicker if you haven't already. It's kind of a very interesting playstyle, but Pulse Weave has given him the ability to engage and actually do a significant amount of burst damage while acting as a front line, and he slows everybody down, and if he's tanky enough to slow everybody down, that's actually useful for the team. So I definitely think Flicker is a good jungler at this point in time. Alright, captain. Now this isn't going to change much. Really, we haven't seen many changes in the captain role overall. Arden's still just in a great space as a captain. Even with the capacitor plate nerfs, he's still a good capacitor captain place. And obviously I think you can play him top lane, but he's just a really solid all-round pick right now. Good at keeping carries alive, great engage potential, even has a little bit of damage on the side with Blood for Blood. So Arden will continue to be one of my favourite captains and will continue to be meta. He's kind of becoming forever meta like Vox. He's just in a good space. Okay, moving on. Lorelei. I think Lorelei is in an awesome place as a captain at this point in time. I think she's got great CC. The movement speed buff and the movement speed slow with your opponents with her splashdown is just a really good ability for 5v5 specifically. So I think Lorelei, if you're a good Lorelei player, you'll be very, very rewarded over the next few updates because I think she's just a very, very, very good captain at this point in time. She's got great harass potential in the mid lane. She can gank. She can be really useful in team fights. She's kind of got it all. Lyra, I think Lyra, despite losing a bit of win rate, and she's actually low down in terms of win rate right now, she is still one of the best captains for the very pure fact that she provides a heal, which is sometimes very hard to come by. She has got good zoning potential with her B. Her ultimate is a good engage tool. Lyra is just a solid pick. Providing lane sustain to your carries is always invaluable, and I think she'll continue to be meta. So Finn has still got a really high win rate right now. He did get nerfed on the last update, but not enough to make him feel awful. I think Finn is still going to be a very solid pick. The Polite Company is just really good with 5 people. Would you have thought Polite Company in 5v5 is just a really good ability? And even though it got nerfed, fortified health across the entire team is still awesome. Really good at denying AoE damage, and in general, Finn is just a solid pick. There is no off-meta pick for 5v5 captains because I didn't want to put Sawport in and ruin everybody's day. So Adagio just comes in as my final captain pick. Again, the sustain he provides is really good. He's in a good space right now. Capacitor plate still works really nicely with him. So I think Adagio is a very, very good captain at this point in time. And you guys, if you're a good Adagio player, feel free to try him out in the captain role and see how you do. Right. That is everything for Update 3.7 Meta Picks. Thank you very much for watching if you did, and I'll see you soon.